Going live.
What do you mean?
I'm about to start streaming.
Streaming what?
Coding. All right, here I am. Hi, everybody. Unfortunately, I cannot see the chat without looking away and breaking eye contact with my camera, but here I am again. My name's Rob. I am that developer dad. And this is a new thing that I decided I wanted to start while I'm in between employers. Um, I've been writing software for 20 plus years, and I've made a ton of mistakes over all that time. And I've luckily managed to learn quite a few lessons about what I did wrong and how to do things right and how to avoid stepping in piles of my own poop over all that time. So the goal of this channel and this brand that I've decided to try and build is to maybe help some people not step in those same piles of poop or get over some difficulties that you may run into while you're in your coding journey. We're all always learning, so let's figure this stuff out together. Today, this is actually my second stream today. I didn't save the VOD from the first one where I got the application framework in place and the continuous deployment pipeline set up and working right. But so yeah, I'm gonna have to redo that exercise at some point and make a video of it so that people who are new to CI/CD and modern web development like me have something to refer back to. I will paste the links to the various tutorials and step-by-step instructions that I'll be using while we continue work on the website at thatdeveloperdad.com. I'm going to switch views here so that my ugly mug that looks like somebody who lives under a bridge and hassles the three billy goats gruff goes down to the corner, and you will get to see my main monitor at that point. So here's that. Boop. Here we go. Now let's, just for review, let's take a look at the website at thatdeveloperdad.com. This is all that's there right now. I've decided that rather than just doing a static HTML5 and CSS web page where I manually construct the pages and then add the links to all of the other pages in the site by hand, because that's a real pain in the neck, to look for some sort of static website framework that will do a lot of this for me. My constraints are I don't want to rely on anything like WordPress or Drupal or any of those things that might require a backend database, or I had considered writing my own blog application backed by SQL Server. But again, that breaks the constraint of I can't have any backend server type services on this thing because this is a static website. The reason I went with a static website is because there is a free tier provided by Microsoft, and I can connect a custom domain to the free versions of the Azure static websites. So that's why I went with that route. If I had decided to go with something a little bit more code intense, like an Azure App Service, I would have had to have moved to a paid version of that. And being unemployed, I'm not really that fond of incurring cloud consumption costs at this point in time. So here's the website. I have Visual Studio Code open right here. We have our GitHub workflows and the workflow definition file right here. I don't believe I have any differences between local and main. I do have this. What's it want? It wants me to restart to update because of course it does. So let's go ahead and do that just to keep it from being a clown. And let's talk a little bit about this framework that I'm using. It's called Astro.js, and there's Visual Studio Code. What I'm going to do, because I've been following along with this tutorial, I'm going to copy this link and paste that in the chat. Astro.js tutorial we're working from. Paste that. And the instructions for deploying this to Azure static websites. Azure static websites are here. There we go. So I've already done this step, set up your development environment, create pages and blog posts. We're going to start working on this part today. And then we'll hopefully get into building with Astro components, query and work with local files, all of that fun stuff. We've done the deployment already, so groovy. I'm going to skip over about this tutorial. We've done the setup. We've prepared the dev environment. I'm just going to flip through these things. This, by the way, is a fantastic tutorial. It's very step-by-step. There's little quiz knowledge checks and so on throughout the way to kind of confirm that the important bits have wormed their way into your thinking meats. So I really, really like the way this has been laid out. The folks at Astro have done a great job of easing somebody into this process. Now here's the npm script to create the basic web page. I'm actually going to close this tab. I don't need it anymore. Boop. And open the project in Visual Studio Code. Here it is back here. Happy, happy. And we've run it in dev mode. No, we haven't run it in dev mode, but that's okay. We're going to do that in just a second. I'm going to open the Finder, and we are going to open a new terminal at this folder. And go list cool npm run dev. Boom. Off that goes. Our development server is running at localhost 4321. Copy that. And I actually have another Safari window kicking around here somewhere. close my LinkedIn window here, just so that I don't get a bunch of silly notifications popping up and distracting me. So we'll go here. This is at the website on Azure. And this guy is running from localhost. Now you'll look down here at the bottom and we've got some developer tools that are flown in by this Astro framework. So that's nifty. What we're going to do is I'm going to pull this off to the side real quick. We've got this started, and just to show that it's running, write your first line of Astro, pull this over here. Whoop. There we go. Hide the Finder. Hide my terminal window. And I'm going to come in here and we are going to hello Twitch. How do you do? Just going to change that last line there. Boop. And come here. And there's our change. Live in front of us as if by magic. I really, really love this aspect of modern web development with the hot reloading and all that happy stuff. It when it works, it's a wonderful thing. Okay, so back to the tutorial. Write your first line of Astro, edit your home page. I've already done this. I did this part this morning so that I could see the CI/CD pipeline in action. A difference between a website file in Astro versus a vanilla HTML file. There are minor differences. Number one is the file extension is .astro, and the runtime / transpiler that is Astro.js looks for these Astro files, and these are essentially templates that direct how the actual deployable web pages are to be constructed. You'll notice these 3 lines, or these 2 lines of 3 dashes. These sort of delimit part of the file that they call front matter. Other people might call that metadata. And I believe the information that we put in here is supposed to use YAML format. They explain it later on. I did do some reading ahead in this tutorial just to make sure that it'd meet my use cases. But they'll explain what goes in between these bits and how we can use it later on in this tutorial. So let's carry on. We've edited the content of the page body. Good stuff. And we saved the page. We saw that already. And where is that other page? I am going to pull this here. And you know what? I'm going to pull this localhost tab out. I'm going to shrink the actual published version. And I'm going to pull this up into, oh no. Okay, here's what I'm going to have to do. I'll just open it in a new tab here and copy paste. Paste and go. There we go. Now we can see our live preview, compare and contrast as we go through the tutorial. All right. Congratulations, you are now an Astro developer. Yes, I can make changes. I am an Astro developer, if you insist. Store your repository online. I did all this stuff earlier. Had I had a brain cell to spare this morning, I would have known that I needed to turn on the VOD saving on Twitch. I did not, so unfortunately the the video from this morning's stream where I did all of the setup stuff is gone. So committing to your local GitHub repo, send the verify that it's up there on GitHub, deploy your site to the web. I went through this exercise as well. They talk about deploying to a Netlify site. I went to Azure, and there are some other instructions. Like there's a link somewhere on the Astro site that talks about, it might be here under deploy your site. Let's just pop this open in a new window so we don't lose our place. Here we go. They do have deployment guides for a number of popular cloud services. I'm using Microsoft Azure, and there is a link to official resources and community resources. This right here, this link is the one that I use because I'm using GitHub Actions, and the author of that site that I've posted the agremont.net URL in the chat there. He's done a great job of calling out the pieces of the YAML that need to change and so on and so forth. So there's a ton of resources at the Astro site that will get you through just about all of the scenarios that you might run into. At least they've gotten me through the scenarios that I've run into. So yeah, it's been a really great experience so far. Excuse me. Okay, create a new Netlify. We're not going to do that. I can view my updated website online. Let's get back to coding. Check in Unit 2 pages. Okay, we have a working site on the web. It's time to add some pages and posts. Create your first Astro pages with the .astro syntax. Add blog posts with markdown files. Style an individual page with styles. Apply global styles across pages. Okie dokie. And we'll learn how the two sections of an Astro file work together to create a page and how to use variables and conditionals when rendering on my pages. Create. All right. So now that you know that Astro files are responsible for pages on your website, okay, create two new pages, about and blog, add navigation links to your pages, deploy an updated version of your website to the web. Okie dokie. Well, let's do that. So create a new Astro file. I'm going to pull this off to the second monitor. Here we go. Navigate folder /source /pages. There we go. There's that. And there's index.astro. New file. About.astro. Pow. There we go. Copy or retype the contents of index into about. All right, we'll do that. Control A, Control C, Control V. You know what? I kind of want to put some dashes in those things. Here we go. Save. Save. Title that developer data about. About me. Gotta close the tags. And I am using Codium. It's a free, almost equivalent to GitHub Copilot. It is free, but it's honestly good enough for my purposes. I'm not disappointed with what it's done for me. Not even a little bit. Okay, so we have created a stub for the About page. I'll write some content for that at some point. There's no sense making you guys watch me wordsmith at this stage of the game. Edit your page. H1, my Astro site. Nope. About me and my new Astro site. Now visit your About page in your Browsers tab again. Yeah, we haven't visited it for the first time, so I'm going to pull this over here. And I'm going to come over here and we're going to mod this About. Hello! And back. Nifty. That developer data home. That developer data about me, groovy. Okay, pretty standard web development at this stage. Nothing earth-shattering. Nothing new to anybody that's built a GeoCities site or anything like that. Adding navigation links. Okay, so let's add some navigation. Again, this is very simple HTML stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And yes, I know it's not componentized yet, but we get there, I promise. There was a thing they specifically did. Okay, slash is home. Yep, of course it is. Ahref equals slash home. Get rid of that. We've got, and I'm helping, and we'll go ahead and add about now. And because this hasn't been automated yet, or componentized, I should say, we do need to move this manually, and that's okay. I remember doing this back in the 90s when I built my first website, and I continued doing things this way until I learned about things like active server pages, and then really got into it with ASP.NET and so on and so forth. Let's check our work real quick. We'll load this. That's .com, not what we want. We want this one. Here we go. Hey, we've got home and about. And home and about. Good deal. We've got some happy little links. We have added our about. Next thing we want to do is add a blog page. I'm not going to call it blog. I'm going to call it articles. Same thing. New file. Oh, come on, Rob. New file. Articles.astro. Plonk. And I'm just going to copy this. Paste that. Articles. Articles. Live here. Eventually. Save that. And we need to add articles, save. This is getting really tired, and I've only done it a couple times. I hope we get to the part where we learn how to make shared components, because adding new pages to my website and then having to alter every single page with links and stuff is gonna get to be a super duper drag. And for those, oh, I didn't fix about me. I know I pasted it. No, I did not. Haha. Here we go. Let's save that. And there's that. Let's retest. And here we go. Articles about. Cool. Okay. So anybody that's worked with me in the past 5, 10 years or so has heard me bark about volatility and how we handle volatility in our software. And yes, a website is absolutely software. When we run into elements in our work that are subject to change on a regular basis, or we run into elements of our work that are shared widely across other elements of our work, we can save ourselves a lot of hassle and headache by encapsulating those elements into either an isolated component or a shareable component. Isolated components, we would encapsulate something that changes very, very frequently into its own component so that when it has to change, we don't also have to then change all of the things around that piece that could perhaps have stayed the same. It reduces the amount of bits that we have to deploy when those changes happen, and it also reduces the likelihood that we make a mistake and break one of the surrounding pieces when we do that. Similarly, by encapsulating pieces that are widely shared, it means we only have to change them in one place, and then all of the things that consume that shared component change along with it. And if you've got a piece of your work that is both widely shared and changes a lot, that's a place for you to kind of zero in and take a good hard look at that part of your application and try and break it up into pieces that are either shared or change frequently. If you've got an element or a component or a section of your application that is shared widely and changes a lot, that's a smell. That means perhaps you need to go spend a little bit of time thinking about what's going on in that part of your solution. So all of that to say, having to change our navigation bar up here every time I add a page and then having to apply that change to every page on my site is a giant pain in the neck. And hopefully we will get to the chapter in our Astro tutorial that talks about encapsulating that stuff. Every page correctly links. We've tested that. 2 new pages, each have their own descriptive heading. Check. You have 2 new pages, each have their own paragraph text. Yeah, we haven't added the content yet. I'll do the writing and so on offline and update it on my own, because that's not going to be terribly interesting to you folks. Publish your changes to the web. You know what? That's actually a real good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So here's our source control. Added stubs for about and articles pages. Linked them together with basic hrefs and copy paste. Let's commit. And we'll go ahead and sync our changes. Yep, do it. And I should have create your first Astro page. That's that. There's Twitch. There's this. Here's the website. And what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a new tab to GitHub. And we're going to pop into this repo. And if we come over to Actions, I did some work earlier this morning to make it so that every time I check into the main branch in this private repo, some magic happens and some scripts run, and it automatically runs our build and deploy process to copy the updated files over to the Azure Static Web App. And this is running right now. We can pop in and take a look at the details. It's doing all the stuff. What it does is it spins up a Docker container that's running Ubuntu. It installs npm and checks out our source code, runs the npm build for production. It's doing all this stuff, and then it copies the built files and content over to my Azure website. And if we come over here and hit refresh because it says it finished, we have our updates. I didn't have to do any of the logging into an FTP server and copying from my files from my local machine and pasting them into the FTP server and all of that fun stuff I used to have to do back in the 90s and early 2000s and so on. So CI/CD is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And if you get your continuous deployment scripts in place early, then you really don't have to worry about messing around with your deployment stuff until it's time to make a major change with your software. It's just it's awesome. 10 out of 10. I buy into that stuff. Like I said this morning when I was talking about this stuff, I am not a DevOps expert. I don't want to be a DevOps expert. Thinking about networks and subnets and CIDR blocks and routing tables and firewalls and all that stuff gives me a splitting headache, and I'm bad at it. So I'd much rather have a guy on my team who's actually very good at it that I can then collaborate with to make all of this stuff work. And getting this stuff set up and running before most of the developers start working on their stuff makes testing a whole lot easier. It gives us a much shorter feedback loop. Yeah. DevOps is absolutely a great mindset. I am just no good at the mechanics of it. So let's write our first Markdown blog post. Boop. All right. Make a new folder and create a new post. Write some Markdown content. Okie dokie. So, new directory at source pages posts. We'll make a post1.md inside that posts folder. Cool. Let's do that. So we've got source pages, new folder, posts. source, new folder, click in here, posts. There we go. Oh, I have a question in the chat from Jeremy. He says, for this application, what stack would I be using? There's a little mouse over thing here. I am using a framework called Astro. It's basically Node, NPM type thing. There's a link further up in the chat to the tutorial, and that tutorial is on the home page to astro.build that explains all of the stuff. And do I plan on adding a backend and database? No, I do not at this point in time, because I'm using an Azure Static Web App that has a free tier, and I can connect a .com to it. If I wanted to do a backend and database, I would have to use an Azure App Service, which, while it does have a free tier, I can't route a custom domain name to that to the free tier of the Azure App Service, and those aren't really the free tier of app services aren't for publication or use in live scenarios, so to speak. Those are mostly just for tire kicking and testing. However, as time goes by, I'll be doing a lot of C# development. I'll be doing it locally using Docker containers and so on to simulate a distributed environment that could then be deployed to a cloud environment that would incorporate that backend and database. For now, though, I need to get my website off the ground, and I figured, why not do it live? Because there's nothing like doing something live to keep me accountable and keep me from cursing too awful much while I do it. All right, so we were in the process of adding our first post, and we do that with Astro. We do it by adding markdown files. I'm going to add a new over here, new file, and I am going to call it estimating.md. No, I'm going to call it post 1 because that's what the instructions say. Post-1.md. Boom. Okay. And we're all saved up. Save everything. Cool. Let's load our thing over here. Okay, we've added the new empty file. Let's look for this page in my browser preview by coming over here and adding /posts/post-1. /posts/post-1. Boom. Empty screen. That's fine. Let's do this. Post 1. And because it's markdown, I'll do this. Now we can see something. Save that. Pull it over here. And there it is. Neato. Back to the instructions. Change browser preview. Oh, let's see what happens when I issue a request that I know is going to end up more than likely in a 404. There we go. 404 not found. That's fine. At least it wasn't ugly. We'll write our markdown content. Okay, and here again, we've got these three little lines up here that hold the quote-unquote front matter. I'm not going to copy and paste this. What I'm going to do is I am going to just push this over to the side. Let's go ahead and add this stuff. There. And title. Single quotes. Test post 1. Pub date. These, I believe, are metadata attributes. 2024 06 19. Description. We're just kicking tires on Astro.js for now. Author. Use that. And I don't have any images yet, but image. Do we have an assets folder? We do not. Do we? Source pages. No, I don't see any assets. Oh, yeah, duh. Alt tags. I'm interested to know where those assets need to get put for, you know what, let's not add an image yet. I'm not certain where that stuff goes yet. So we're going to add tags. And this looks like it's going to be an array. Test. Post. Tire. Kicking. Live coding. Cool. Save that. Blah, 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 blah. And we've saved it. Good. We'll pull the browser back over here. Pop this open. Markdown error. Multi-line key may not be an implicit key. What are you yelling about? Articles. Okay. Posts slash post 1. Nope, -1. Okay. I think it didn't like something because it's just got like these markdown horizontal rules. Yeah. I messed something up. Let's see what I did wrong. So we've got the three dashes. Yeah. Let's take a look here. What's going on? So there's title. That, this, that, so on. Select any elements. Okay, yeah, we'll do that in a second. All right. You know what? Just purely for laughs, just in case I goofed something up, I'm going to copy this and paste that, save it. And over here, it actually looks right. Interesting. Now, I cannot see the page source yet. I think I have to do something special. Or copy, just for laughs, because this was marked down over here. Let's load this up. Paste and go. Here we go. View page source. Oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? It did all kinds of stuff for me. Excuse me. So welcome to here. What I've accomplished. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, look at all that stuff. Neato. So I wonder what it was that I goofed up when I was making my change to that format. I'm curious. Let's shrink that down. Let's add a new file. Post2 dash .md. Just purely for laughs. And pop, 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 pound my second blog post page. This is the second post page that I'm creating for testing. Save that. And let's bring it back up here. Post 2. Go here. Good. Good, good, good. Now, over here in post 1, I'm hesitant to copy directly. Because that feels bad. That means I don't understand what I'm doing. But if I come over here, let's just try adding one metadata attribute here. And we'll try title, just for laughs, just to see what happens. Title, my second blog post. Save that. Didn't do anything fancy. And let's see if it goofed it up over here. It did not. Fantastic. Let's even refresh it just to see. Okay. And we'll come back to 2. Great. And back to 1. I'm curious about something. Published on 2022-701. Okay, yeah, that's not right. Oh, yes, it is, because it's been copied and pasted. Silly me. Okay, so let's change this. See here, it's hard-coded down here. So they haven't gotten in the tutorial to the part where we start replacing our text with variables. I bet that's coming up real soon. All right, link to your posts. Link to your first post with an anchor tag in source pages articles.astro. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull this over here. I don't need about right now. I don't need post 2. I don't need index. Let's come over to articles. Here we go. And unordered list, list item, a hyperref equals post 1. And we've got to give it a path. And these all use relative URLs, posts slash post dash 1. Save. Now I've only recently really dug into using Markdown, mostly because I've been using it quite a lot over on my GitHub repositories and stuff to write documentation and wiki entries for various projects I'm working on. And for basic article writing and documentation, I really, really don't mind it. It's a lot faster to write than HTML, and there's a lot less tag wrangling with Markdown than with vanilla HTML as well. So I kind of dig this new to me idea of using Markdown for authoring my articles. It's kind of nifty. So here we go. They've added post 2 and post 3. I'm not going to add post 3. I've already got a post 2. And now we have to add these links manually. This is going to be a real pain in the neck. li. There we go. Save that. Let's test our change. Because you code a little, and then you test a little, and then you go back, then you go back, and then we rip out all of the aftermatter on this URL because I don't want to be hitting back and forward all day. Let's go to articles, post 1, boom. Post 2, hello there. And let's go home, articles about. All right, nifty. And we've checked our browser and made sure that the posts that we wanted to show are there. We've noted that our Markdown gets converted to HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript. We've created our new folder for the posts. We've created new posts as Markdown files. And those Markdown files are getting transmogrified into plain vanilla HTML by the Astro thing. And it's really neat. I like it. And here they talk about YAML front matter, which is that metadata stuff between these horizontal line breaks at the tops of our files. Add dynamic content about you. Okay, this is where we're getting to some interesting things. Define and use a variable. Okay, so we're going to be playing in about.astro. Yeah. That's what it looks like. And we are going to add a line of JavaScript in our metadata that defines a page scoped constant called page title. I dig it. Let's go ahead and do that. It's not going to create a visible change, but that's okay. I'm going to close this post. I'm going to close the articles. We'll come back to those. Up here in the front matter, I'm going to call it the metadata. Although I really ought to try and make an effort to use the idiomatic language of the framework in which I am working. So let's go ahead and start calling this front matter about that developer dad. Cool. And down here in the title header element, we're going to use some replacement. The fancy word is string interpolation. Whoops. Title. Now, JavaScript variable naming conventions are a little bit different from the variable naming conventions that I like to use in C#. And because anything defined in this front matter up here, I would consider it to be a member level variable or a module level variable. I like to preface variables and values that are going to be global to the page scope or the class scope with an underscore. And that signals to me that it's a variable that's available to the whole page. I like to save the purely camel-cased variable names for variable names that are used only in a local method or closure scope. This might drive the JavaScript experts insane, but that's okay. I'm here for it. And body, ahref home, blah, 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 h1. Let's go ahead. Page title. Go ahead and drop that in there. And yep, there's my overeager junior intern adding extra characters for me, as they will do. And we're going to save, and we're going to take a look at the live preview. And we did change it from just about me or about or that developer dad dash about or whatever. Although that does kind of break the convention I have for that title header, but that's okay. It's just a demo. Let's come over here. Look at that. And about that developer dad. Nifty. I like it. And we can now go mess around with whatever is up in here, and it will apply wherever that string has appeared before. So use the same pattern to create a page title value to use in index.astro, homepage, blog.astro, my Astro Learning blog. All right, let's do that. So index const equals articles. I wonder if this will work. If it does, I'm going to go change what we did for the About page in just a second. Save that. And you are going to see the result for this at the same time as me. Oh, look at that. So it did interpolate it nicely. Cool. Let's make the same change for our About page. I like that quite a lot. Quite a lot. Save. Cool. And yep, it did the darn thing. I dig it. Now we're getting into some of that encapsulation stuff that we've or that I was talking about earlier. Const page title equals home. Here we go. Page title. And we'll come down here. To the page title page. Save that. And what did I do with the tutorial? I'm such a goon. Oh, wait. I shouldn't use that word. I think goon means something different now. Hey there, welcome to the home page. I like it. Cool. All right. Define variables in the front matter to do various things. Use these variables in your Astro template inside curly braces to tell Astro you're using some JavaScript. Lovely. And yep, that's very much like string interpolation. Write JavaScript expressions in Astro. I don't think I want to do this. Not yet. Okay, I am going to do a part of this. So what we're going to do here is up here in the front matter, const identity. Now this is an authorization style identity. It's just gonna be a JSON object. There we go. First name. I am not in the UK. Excuse me. I am in United States. Programmer. Software. Architect. And I've got kids. They're all grown up now. but I still have kids. Programmer, software architect, and dad. Let's bring some of this stuff. I'm going to change that to my first name. And let's add brand name. How's that? Cool. Save that. And because this is page scoped, we're going to do that. Adult life, I've been a identity.occupation. And let's get rid of this extra extraneous text that we added here. There we go. We've saved it. Let's take a look at our preview. Neat. I like this. This is really, really a nice development experience. And again, a really nice learning experience as well. We have about a little less than 10 minutes left. So we're going to wrap up really, really soon. There's one last section on this part of the tutorial that talks about conditionally rendering elements. We can use our script variables to choose whether or not to render individual elements of the content. That sounds neat. Let's try this. Add a semicolon there. Const show thing equals true. Save that. So I've added that. And then we're going to add just a little snippet down in the body code here. And we are interpolating show thing and look a thing. You didn't actually think I was going to show you a thing, did you? Let's take a look. Hey, cool. Oh, look a thing. Now, just for science or laughs or giggles or whatever, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to save it, and it's gone. Magic tricks. And it's back. I like it. That's super neat, super elegant, really great way to simply control some things. I don't care for having to go into each individual page and change these values. Like, let's say I wanted to show a thing and have that apply to multiple pages. I think that needs to be in a different external JavaScript file, and I have a sneaking suspicion that in a future tutorial we'll get into that. So for now, I'm going to turn this off. We'll just leave it there. Oh, I wonder if you could read this in from an environment variable and use it almost like a feature flag. I'm going to have to think about that. Maybe we'll learn some more about that part as we go. But for now, let's just see if there's anything else interesting. Templating syntax is similar to JSS syntax. I'm not familiar with JSX. I think that's what they use in React. I'm not positive. Like I said, I have not been a front-end developer in a long, long time. The next section of this tutorial is styling the About page. Style items on a single page, use CSS variables. I'm really trying hard to not jump ahead and jump around and just go look for the information I need to make it do what I want it to. Typically when I'm working on a project, I will go ahead and do that and then go back later and try and gain a stronger understanding of it. But in this case, because we are learning together, I am going to force myself to behave and do this methodically and actually follow these tutorials. Now, because we're coming to the end of our time together today, let us perform our daily ritual. Added a posts folder, started messing with the front matter on the Astro files. Just before I go, show a thing is false. I'm going to go ahead and what are you doing, Rob? Whoop. Could just do all this work up front and then deploy it as it changes. But no, not a button. But what fun that. What in the deuce is Codium doing? Go away, side panel. What's all this rubbish? Ah, buttons and nonsense. So sometimes these code completion whatsits go a little bit off the rails. Instead, I'm challenging myself to learn bunch of new things. And to make that extra spicy, not spicy, stream the process in real time. And just in case anybody visits this website while I am offline, please go to href equals https twitch.tv and subscribe to be notified of when I'm working on this thing up. Goodness, I'm thinking, nope, I'm going to let it just keep doing what it's doing. And let's save it. Always test. Always, always, always test. Cool. And let's test our link. And here we are over here. And we're about to get the infinity view. Okay, I'm going to make that go away. Okay. Neat. There we go. So that link works. We have written our commit message. Front matter on the Astro files. Added some verbiage. The home page about what we're doing here. Commit. And we're going to sync. Push and pull. And now the little Git gnomes, or the Git elves, are going to start crunching and munching on my source code. Let's come back to actions. We can see they are crunching and munching on the fresh updates that we've just added. Excuse me. And they're running back and forth between wherever the GitHub servers live and I think somewhere in Virginia, which is where Azure East US 2 exists. And talking to the Azure Static Web Apps, Yellow Mushroom, blah, 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 which is the actual resource name for my static web app that feeds that developerdad.com. We're just going to let it finish doing its thing. It's completing the job. We have our green light. Beautiful. I don't have any pull requests because I've just been checking in directly to main. Naughty, naughty. And let us refresh the page. Here's our link. And here's our stuff. Fun, fun, fun. Ew, what's all this? Ha! It looks like there's some Unicode in there. That's okay. We're going to fix all of that stuff up later. All right. Thanks for joining me. To the people who joined me. And I'm probably going to do this again tomorrow for a little while. Perhaps not for quite as long, though, because I do have, job search activities that I should perform and other stinky meta work, silly admin tasks and stuff like that. I will see you all next time, and I'll post on Twitch when I know I'm going to go live next. Take care, everybody. Bye now.